Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the Lord of Hubris. Yes, the best name for anything ever from the Hedonites of Slaanesh, the brand new character sent to me early by Games Workshop to build up and paint for all of you, and that is exactly what we are doing today. He has been primed in Wraithbone, and we're not going to beat about the bush too much. We're going to jump in and start painting him. And the colour we're going to start with is his skin. Now the colour we're going to be making is a roughly 3 parts Guilliman Flesh to 1 part Gore-Grunta Fur, because we've got this kind of nice tanned skin that we're going to be applying, and we just want to start applying this all over all of his visible flesh. And what this is doing is, rather than adding that kind of full tan in at the first kind of point of offering, is establishing the warmth first. So whilst he still looks very pink, adding that Gore-Grunta Fur in does add a nice little bit of extra warmth into the skin, so that when we come to shade it later, it doesn't kind of take all of the life out of him. We want him to look alive. So with that done, whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of all of his black leather. So this is his trousers, his gloves, and any straps I think he has as well. Excluding this one. No, including that one. Sorry, I've got the box art in front of me. So with that Black Legion all applied, as you can see, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Shyish Purple and we're going to apply this over the top of his kind of, well, it's his belt. It's more of a sash. We're not going to apply this over the hair. That's going to be a different colour purple. One thing to very much point out here is that the sash comes down on this little bit of fabric just here. With that Shyish Purple applied, we're now going to work on the hair. We're going to be using two colours to do this, Luxion Purple and Leviathan Purple. And what we're going to do is a little bit of blending. So we're going to take Luxion Purple on our brush first. And we're going to, from the top here, we're going to apply the Luxion Purple, coming all the way down the hair, like this. Sneak it in round the corner. Just like that. We're then going to wash the brush, grab some Leviathan Purple, and then about halfway we're going to apply the Leviathan Purple over the top. Take it a little bit further up. Like that. Then I'm going to wash the brush one more time. Grab a little bit of Luxion Purple, and then just where those two colours meet, I'm just going to blend them together by feathering away at it. Just like that, so you get this really nice fade from that brighter purple down to the dark. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Just whilst we're waiting for that hair to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Targor Rageshade. I'm going to use this to shade his skin. With that Targor Rageshade all applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Kroxigor Scales and we're going to apply this over the top of the shield. Now don't worry, this is of course not going to be the final colour. It's way too bright. It's going to be our pre-shade. So with that Kroxigor Scales applied to the shield and to that little vial on his hip, what we're going to now do is take some black Templar. We're going to apply this over the top. And so with that black Templar applied, what we're now going to do is take some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to start applying this over the top of all of the gold details. Now I'd recommend having the box art in front of you for this. This is going to include a lot of gold. It is going to include things like his armour, some of the trim on the shield, the hairpiece, the hilt and pommel of his sword, is rather a lot of gold. So with all of that Retributor Armour applied all the way around, as you can see, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher and we're going to apply this to all of our remaining details. So with that done, all of our base coats are now on the Lord of Hubris, so it's time to add some shades. And the first one we're going to add is Druchii Violet. I'm going to be applying this over the top of all of the gold. And with that Druchii Violet applied to all the gold, we're then going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade and we're going to apply this over the top of the black, our Kroxigor Scales and black areas, and over the top of all of our silver. So with that done, our Lord of Hubris is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and he's looking pretty cool already. However, we're not going to leave him there, no. We are going to take him to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now the first layer that we're going to add is a roughly 2-to-1 mix of Cadian Fleshtone and Knight-Questor Flesh. And we're going to be applying this over the top of his skin. And what we're looking to do here is just avoid any of the recesses. Just get a nice solid colour. So with that done, we then want to just add a touch of extra warmth in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 3 parts Cadian Fleshtone to 1 part Bestigor Flesh. And we're going to apply this over the top of our upwards facing areas on the model. We've got this kind of, well, it's not kind of, it is a pectoral. We've got the bicep just here. Got the shoulder. We've got the top of his head. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Kislev Flesh and we're going to use this to highlight all of his skin. So with that done, the skin's looking pretty fabulous. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do his eyes, and the colour we're going to be using is Black Legion. What we want to do here is we want to very carefully take a small amount of this on our brush. And just pop it over his eyeballs. And so with that Black Legion applied, we then want to take a tiny little dot of Screaming Skull We want to add this in each corner of his eyeball, like that. So with that done, what we're now going to do is move on, and we're going to move on to the gold. Now we want this to be really, really bright. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Liberator Gold and Ironbreaker. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start applying this over the tops of the flats of all the armor panels. What we want to do here is, of course, avoid any of the deepest, darkest recesses, because we want it to be as bright as is there. You can see it just, for example, we'll just do another bit like here. So with that gold now all brightened up, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight it using a roughly 2 parts Stormhost Silver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix. And this is going to apply a really nice, bright highlight. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the previous mix isn't brighter, but it isn't. It's the Stormhost Silver that supplies that real brightness. But if we go with Liberator Gold, it becomes kind of just a little bit too cold, and we want to have a little bit of warmth in there. So that's why we've got the Retributor Armour. And so with that highlight applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Luxion Purple, and we're going to use this to add a little bit more purple into our deepest recesses. So what we want to do is we're going to take our small brush still once again, and we're going to find those areas that we've left the kind of the shade from before, and what we're just going to do is we're going to add a little bit of Luxion Purple in there by just stippling it in, washing the brush, and then just removing any hard transitions that you might accidentally create. So with that now done, all of the gold is now finished. So what we're going to do is move on to all of the black. Now, the colour we're going to be using is Thunderhawk Blue. And what we want to do here is we want to use this to highlight, well, all of it. And this is going to include the shield as well. Now we've got some interesting creasing going on here, which is why I'm just kind of trying to orient the model so I can see it. Similarly, as mentioned, we're going to use the Thunderhawk Blue to highlight the shield areas as well. So with that now done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Sotek Green, and we're going to use this as our little spot highlight on the shield. And finally, to finish off all the black details, we're then going to take some Rust Grey. I'm going to use this along the sharpest points of all of our black leather. And on the corners and the shield. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is going to move on to the silver. And the colour we're going to be using is Ironbreaker. And we're going to use this to pick out all of the little studs in his leather. But we're also going to use this to highlight our silver details. And so with that done, what we're then going to do is take some thinned down Emperor's Children. I'm going to use this to highlight the hair at the back here. And so with that Emperor's Children applied to the hair, as you can see, we're very nearly there. We don't need to highlight his kind of sash because the Shyish Purple has already done it for us, and we don't want it to be too bright to take away from that skin. So what we're going to do is our last thing on the Lord Hubris, which is to take some Akhelian Green, and we're going to apply this over top of all of his gems. So there's a little one just here. Like that, and then we've got 3 on the shield. So with that done, the Lord of Hubris is now finished, and there's only one thing left to do, and that is his base. And I'm going to do what I normally do on these things, and that is take some Gryph-Charger Grey, and I'm going to apply this over the top of the statue, just because I think it's a really nice kind of Age of Sigmar-esque statue colour. You can of course do this any way that you wish to match the rest of your army. And so with that Gryph-Charger Grey applied, I then take some Wyldwood and apply this over the top of all of the soil. And with that done, and then I'm going to take some Skeleton Horde and apply this over the top of all of the skulls. So with all of our base coats applied, the only thing remains is to take some Sterling Battlemire and apply this to all the negative space around the base. And then once that's applied, we let it dry, give it a dry brush of Tyrant Skull, and then add a couple of tufts, and finish the rim to your choice. And so with the base complete, the Lord of Hubris is now finished, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I adore this model. I can't tell you how much I love it. It's a perfect place for me to start with my Hedonites of Slaanesh. Well, that and Sigvald already that we have in the bank, and all those demonettes and all those Slaanesh demons, but you get the picture. Really like it. Lots of fun to do. The skin was a nice challenge to get that perfect tone, and I think we just about crushed it. And I really like that gold armor. I think that's a really nice recipe, and I'm going to keep that one. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.